that here too. Okay, perfect. So welcome everybody to the third of our follow-ups from the cocaine training, cocaine cessation hypnotherapy program. So, as you know, the idea of doing this follow-up was to um, help you get more familiar with the training that we actually did, help you get more familiar with the techniques and tools that we taught you. Um, that if you guys were using those tools and techniques, that when we learn something new, we tend to run into problems. And if you had questions around any of those techniques, that I'd be able to answer those questions on these calls and be able to um, get you back on track in terms of how to use them and when to use them and where to use them. So, um, the last time around this training that Jody joined us, and um, we have developed a more advanced level of training from the 2-day training that most of you will have done. We're now running a 4-day training where we're looking at the role of trauma and addiction. And Jodie's based her career, pretty much most of her 25 years career, working in the field of trauma, whether in addiction or other spaces. And today, Jodie is going to teach you one of those techniques that you won't have learned from me in the past. Um, a somatic regulation technique. In fact, she describes it and teaches it a lot better than I do. So we'll send it over to you, Jodie, if you want to take it away.
Okay, sounds good, Cormac. Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. Welcome. Excited to talk to you today. And I know some of you would have been on the first two calls, and some of you may not have. So I want to just start with a little basic foundation about our nervous system. And then I'm going to teach you a technique for us to get started with on the call, as well as something you can teach your clients that are going to help you to be regulated and help them to stay regulated as well. So, when we're talking about trauma, a lot of what we're talking about is our nervous system, because our nervous system is constantly scanning for threats, whether real or perceived. So, it could be a lion or tiger or bear or a car coming at you or whatever it is from the outside, but it could also be your experience of something, or even in an anticipation of something, or if something feels really close to a negative experience that you've had in the past. Our nervous systems can get activated, or often we hear it called triggered. And so, with our nervous system, our ANS, our autonomic nervous system, basically we have two different spheres of that. We have our sympathetic and our parasympathetic. And I'm going to make it super simple for you because I call our sympathetic system the emergency room and the parasympathetic system the healing room. And obviously, it makes sense. We want to have our clients be in the healing room, not in the emergency room. And so, what happens with that emergency room with our nervous system is that it's triggered whenever we're stressed or frightened or startled. And its role is to act as our body's defense mechanism. It creates that thing you've all heard of, that fight, flight, or freeze response. And there's some little or known ones like fawn, for example. But basically, you're either going to fight or flight or freeze or appease. And what's going to happen is that system has to be there. It's essential for survival. And so it's important to have available because it serves a really positive purpose. It keeps us in existence. However, we should only be spending 2 to 5% of our lives in the emergency room and 95 to 98% of our time in the healing room. And so when your emergency room gets activated, what happens? So think about this. What's going to happen is your pupils might dilate, your startle response is going to be high. So if there's a noise behind you and it shocks you, you're going to startle. right, and blink, and your eyes will dilate. You'll start to move more defensively. All of your resources in your body, your blood flow, everything goes to your extremities for defense, goes away from your core. So it takes away from digestion, it takes away from reproduction, it takes away from everything that isn't essential, basically, for defense. And so it suspends everything else, and it closes your arteries and just prepares your body to deal with emergencies and danger. We don't want to be there, and we don't want our clients there. Often when people come into us, they're on edge. So think about that. They might be really on edge. They might be anxious. They may have anger outbursts. They have different types of manifestations of this, whether it's high or low in emotion. And we really want to get them into that healing room. I talked before about the window of okayness for some of you who were here before. So we have this thing in psychology called the window of capacity. And so I like to go like this with my clients. And one of my clients years ago deemed it the window of okayness. So that's what I call it now. And this is where you're in the window. You feel good. You feel like, I've got this. I can handle this. It's figure outable. I'm okay. Okay. And that's where we want to be. That's the healing room. That's our nervous system being nice and calm and chill. And basically, when that happens, then there's different types of hormones and neuropeptides and all these things that get released. So instead of our adrenaline, for example, as one of the things that happens in the emergency room, we'll have things like endorphins and oxytocin. So we're going to feel good. We're going to feel calm. We're going to feel comfortable. We're going to feel like we can handle all the things. And if we go up out of that, then that's that anxiety and fear and anger. If we go down from that, then that's going to be more along the lines of being withdrawn, isolated, associated, depressed, things of that nature. Okay. And so, how I like to explain it is I like to think of that as a thermostat. So, think about in your house, you set the thermostat to a certain temperature that feels really comfortable for you. There's a temperature range where you're not too hot, you're not too cold, you're just right in that range. And if things get a little too hot, kick on the air conditioning and it brings it down into that comfortable window again. Things get too cold, what happens? The heat comes on, brings us right back into that window. And that's what we want to be able to teach our clients. We want to teach them to be the thermostat and bring themselves into the window of okayness versus being the thermometer outside that just reacts to everything that's happening around it. And so that's what I'm going to teach you is how do we get into that healing room and out of the emergency room for ourselves and our clients? Because I know one of the questions that I had previously was how do we hold space for people who have been through trauma that may be sharing really heavy things with us, really difficult things with us, and how can we support them in a way that is appropriate and safe? And so whenever we're in that healing room and those feel good hormones and chemicals are going really well, we can feel like, okay, I'm calm, and we can model that for our clients. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to have everybody participate in this. We're going to do it together. And it's going to be a little bit of a group demo here. And what I call this is a mindful somatic check-in. And all the word somatic means is that it has to do with our bodies. So we're going to really work on our mind-body connection. And we're going to regulate our nervous systems right now so that as we move forward in our session today, we're feeling calm and comfortable and like we can absorb and take in all of this great information. And then we can take this home and teach it to our clients and our practices. So a mindful check-in is really easy. It's something you can do anytime. It's something your clients can do anytime. I always recommend to do this before and after sessions. You can teach your clients to do it, like morning, maybe lunchtime, at night, something like that, and as needed. So if you ever feel like you're going up or down in that in a window of okayness, you start getting hot, you start getting cold emotionally. If something is triggering you that somebody's saying in a session, this is literally something you can do anytime. So the first thing that we're going to do is I'm going to teach you a breathing practice that is something I've taught for anxiety for years. Works great for everything though. And that is we're going to do a mindful breath. So first thing I want y'all to do is go ahead and at your own pace. Okay, everybody's going to be different in your pace. You're going to breathe in for 4. You're going to hold for 7, and then we're going to breathe out for 8. I'm going to tell you what we're doing first before we do it, and I'm going to explain why. Okay, so we're breathing in for 4, holding for 7, out for 8 at your pace. You do not have to say 1,000, 2, 1,000. You don't have to do that. It could be 1, 2, 3, 4. Whatever pace works for you is fine. We're breathing out, you'll notice, for twice as long as we're breathing in. What that does is it actually releases your nervous system. So that is a signal to your nervous system of safety and calm. And so when you do that, also when you're counting, can't be thinking about other things. So if your clients have racing thoughts, they start to spiral. This is a really great one because it will disrupt that pattern. So it's a pattern interrupt, and it will instantly release their nervous system and help them to calm. Okay. All right. So that's what we're going to do first. So as you do that, you can focus on breathing in all that good air, moving in nice and refreshing. Gather any tension, any tightness, any stress as you count to your 7. And then as you exhale, I want you to release any tension, any tightness, anything that needs to be released from your body and from your mind. We're going to do that 3 times. So the second one, breathe in whatever you would like. You can breathe in all that good oxygen and air. You can breathe in calm and confidence. Check in with your body, with your mind, gather anything up from the day, any tension, any stress, any busyness, your to-do list, and release and let it all go. And then last one, at your pace, breathe in all those good, wonderful things. Gather. And when you're ready, release. You do 3 of those. Your nervous system is much more regulated than it was. And then I want you to check in with yourself, and you're going to ask yourself 2 questions. The first is, what emotion am I feeling right now? And I want you to frame it that way, as in, I am feeling in this moment right now. Not I am anxious, or I am stressed, or I am calm, or I am happy. It's I am feeling calm or relaxation or whatever it is right now in this moment, because we are not our emotions. It's something we're experiencing in this moment. Emotions are actually physiological responses in our body we put words to. So I want you to name the emotion, and then identify the sensations. What sensations do I feel in my body? Because there's a way that we know that we feel a certain thing, and that is from our physiology. It's our internal behavior. Thoughts create emotions, which create our habits, our behaviors, not just externally, internally. And so I want you to think about that. How do you know that you're calm? Your heart rate's lower, your breathing slower, or how would you know if you're anxious or nervous? Those things would be faster. Might be a little jittery, might have some butterflies in your stomach. Just start to identify what the feeling is, what the emotion is, what we would name that, and then what the sensation is in your body that goes with it, okay? So it's those 2 questions. So we do 3 mindful breaths. Then we name the emotion, name the sensation, okay? Emotion and sensation. And then last question, what do I need right now in order to shift this, if it is something that you would like to shift? Or how do I choose to respond right now? Okay, so we're going to identify, what can I do versus often where people's minds are going is what can't I do? Or that this is, if they say I am anxious, for example, they're telling their subconscious that that is who they are, that is how they are, and that that is not changeable. And so we're reframing that to shift it to I am feeling this right now in this moment, emotionally and physically. And this is how I'm choosing to respond to that, or how I'm going to give myself what I need in order to shift it. Okay, so that's a tool right there in and of itself. And when you identify that, if you're feeling good and you don't need to shift anything, that's okay too. You can just say, okay, wonderful. Feeling great now, ready to learn, open, and I don't need to shift anything, and that's okay. But maybe there's a spot in your back where you hold stress. There's places in our bodies where we hold stress and trauma. Maybe you notice something, you need to make a little shift. You need to do a little stretch. You need a drink of water. Whatever it is, give that to yourself. And then we're going to do 3 more breaths to close out. Okay. And so I'm going to allow you all to do that at your pace. I'll do it too. And so we're going to do 3 more of those breaths. This time, what I want you to focus on in your in breath. So on the inhale, we're going to focus on breathing in what we want to feel. Okay, if you wanted to shift, for example, gathering up anything that needed to be released that you identified. So if it was a physical sensation or something emotional. And then as you exhale, you're going to let it go. You're going to release that. And so we're going to shift from where we were to where we want to be. Okay, so go ahead and do your 3 mindful breaths. Again, in for 4, hold for 7, out for 8. Okay, so as you're closing that out, I would love to hear how everyone's feeling. And if there's anything that you identified, you're welcome to share. You do not have to, but you are welcome to share that as well. How did that feel for you as a practitioner to be able to check in with yourself to get calm and centered and in your window of okayness before you step into a session, for example, like we are today together? I'll make Cormac go first. Putting you on the spot.
Yeah, so um, I suppose what was going through my head, and with you guys in mind, is I'm going to go straight into asking you a question about troubleshooting, Jody, if that's okay.
100% because I'm prepared because I've done a lot of that. Yeah.
Lay back to you. So what was going through my head, so when we're working with people, an average client might find it difficult to give answers or become aware of those things that you're talking about. And I'm
Mhm.
wondering, how do you guide the average client to a space where they can get real benefit out of that? If they're finding it difficult, do you prime them in a certain way? Do you guide them in a certain way? Do you lead? What happens?
So this is something that I would do after your session with a client. You can do it prior to the session for you. I would do this after your hypnosis session with your client as a tool that they can take with them. So then they can learn how to hit that pause button. Because remember, we talked before about our emotional center of our brains and how it moves 4 times faster than those thinking parts. And
Mhm.
so it's a great way for them to check in regularly to slow down and hit that pause button because most people aren't used to doing that. And the other thing that we talked about in the previous calls is that we are very much programmed to disconnect from our bodies and not know how to identify what we're feeling and what we need. Because from a very young age, we're told not to trust ourselves, that we have to wait for somebody else to tell us when it's time or it's okay to eat or drink or use the restroom or whatever it is. And so what happens is we start ignoring and we stop actually paying attention to what's going on. So it's extremely common for people to not feel connected. And this is a way to get them back connected. So they're going to need practice with this. You can practice this with them, like I did with you. The other thing is you can help them with that vocabulary. At first, it might be a little challenging for them to get beyond those kind of core, like happy, sad, mad type of words into something a little more nuanced, like irritated, frustrated, concerned, whatever it is, something a little more detailed. But that definitely expands over time as they do this. We are all born completely connected. And it's just the programming, really, that is disconnecting us and making us think our mind's over here and our body's over here when they're completely together. And your mind is actually directing your body. And so that's what we're doing with this is we're showing them. It's kind of a little test and convincer there that our mind directs our bodies. That when we think calm, we create calm. And so I like to do it at the end of the hypnosis session because they are in that place. But if your client comes in and they aren't prepared to sit and relax and go into trance, this could be a really great tool for the beginning too, just to bring them down a notch. If they're really amped up and they came out of traffic and they've been stressed out all day and you're like, okay, like I can feel their energy when they're coming in and they need to settle in so then we can be more effective in hypnosis, then this would be really great for that as well.
Great, Judy. And what I'd also say to everyone listening, um, whether Jody's doing a demonstration or I am, or whether we're explaining something, like a good question to have in your own head is, how can I use that with my clients?
Mhm.
So if you've got that as your guiding question, it'll lead you to be able to ask the question of us that, like, if there's a little block. So to be thinking all the time, well, how do I actually use that? In what situation, in what scenario? How do I uh, introduce it? How do I use it? Do I explain it? Do I not explain it? Do I jump into it indirectly or directly? Um, to be just having that at the forefront of your mind is going to be important because there's one thing learning how to do stuff, but the real important thing is learning how to implement these and when is the right way to implement them for your clients. So you understand the process and the framework, but you also understand how you're going to use it.
Absolutely. Leah had a really great question, which was, would you do the first set of 3 breaths before the session and then do the second set after the hypnosis session? I would actually do the entire exercise in one sitting. So I would do 3 breaths, check in, how are you feeling? What are you noticing in your body? What do you need right now? And then do the other 3 breaths to shift that. And if you're going to do it before and after the session, I would do the entire set, that whole process before and the whole process after. I think the only time I really do that before the session is, like I mentioned, if they're coming in really dysregulated. If you can tell that they're, really amped up and they need to calm down a little bit and get centered and grounded, that's a great time to do that. And then they'll be in an even better headspace for going into trance, for example. Otherwise, I would do it at the end and just give that as a little implementation or action item. That's something that I do with clients a lot of, this could be really helpful for you. Let me show you this tool, this technique that you can just have in your back pocket for any time you feel triggered, you feel stressed, you feel like you have an urge. When we're talking about addiction, if they, are in a space where, we're breaking the associations, but they're ever in a space of stress or are starting to feel themselves come out of their window for any reason whatsoever, it's just great for them to have something that they can do in that moment where they can really anchor in with their breath and identify that and process and move through it. Because often what we've been talking about with addiction and the link with trauma is that that was the solution, right? The habit was the solution that their subconscious created in order for them to survive and get through when their nervous system was so activated. And so we get into patterns and habits, like I was mentioning, externally, yes, with like an addiction or a habit, but also internally. So what's happening inside of them, in their nervous system and in their bodies, is actually a pattern in and of itself that's then leading to that outward habit. And so we can give them something that's that interrupt that's going to reinforce the new path and reinforce that new solution, right? We're helping them create an alternative solution for themselves of what am I going to do instead? This is going to help lead them to that. So, what do I need to do right now in order to shift this? The answer would be the new solution that we help them come up with in their session. And so it's a little bit of rehearsal for life, a practicing, hey, this is what I can do. But yeah, I wouldn't break it up and do the first 3 breaths before the session and then the last 3 breaths after. I would actually do the 3 breaths, the questions, then the 3 breaths. And then if you're going to do it again after the session, just do it completely at the end as well. So thank you for asking. That was a great question.
We are going to, I'm going to re-demonstrate with you shortly. Remember talking about breaking the trance state, where the person gets the thought to take their phone out and put a bet on the horses. The person gets the thought to buy a bag of cocaine. The person gets the thought to have the cigarette, bottle of wine, whatever it is. And you'll recall, so we bring them into that space and we tell them like that itself is a form of hypnosis. Like when you think about it, we're allowing an emotional response, a subconscious thing, outweigh our logical decision or choice. So we're find ourselves doing something that we don't want to do. So that's negative hypnosis. We bring the person into that space and we bring them back out. So they're into it, then they can float out of their own body to look back in and see something different. It's about showing it from a different perspective. Now, what I'd like you guys to be thinking about is, so even though we do work with our clients, like all change has to come from within. They have to be the drivers of their change. We cannot be responsible for their change. They have to own it. And we got to say it to them and look them straight in the eye and tell them, you got to own this. I can't quit for you. This is you that's going to be doing this. And sometimes what we need is just give them a few little extra tools and techniques other than just what we're doing here in the session. So if we're in hypnosis, helping them to go in, come out, go in, come out, that's going to change their experience of it after we've done it. But it doesn't mean that it's going to stop them completely from doing it yet. So if they have another tool like this, in those moments, they can just engage that like breathing technique. And so, again, what I'd like you to be thinking is, where can I use this? How can I use it? Can I give it to my client as a homework? Can I tell them, don't just do it if you feel you've got an urge or a craving. Maybe you could prime your day. Maybe you could prime every morning by doing that. What would it be like for you yourself to use a tool like that as a daily practice, as a morning practice? How different would your day go? How much more relaxed are you going to feel? It primes your day in that way. It might be a nice idea to do that yourself so that you have an experience then when you're saying to your client, you're not just saying what you think it might feel like, you're actually speaking from experience.
Yeah, that's very important. And Leah said she didn't want to bring her clients out of the hypnotic glow with the first 3 breaths. So the first 3 breaths are not negatives at all. It just depends. It's meeting them where they're at. Depends on what's happening in that moment. So yes, if they're coming in to the session and they're coming out of traffic and from a long day at work and is it very dysregulated or whatever happened, right? Then yeah, they're going to be releasing from the day. They're going to be releasing whatever needs to be released in that moment. If you're at the end of the session, let's say, use their words, right? We've been talking about how important that is. If use their words, use what happened in the session, use what you knew they were coming from and moving towards in the wording. So they could, right? They can focus on whatever they would like to focus on internally. It could be something around breathing in, like I mentioned earlier, calm and confidence, because maybe that's what they wanted to, or breathing in that freedom, for example. And you could be breathing in whatever that is, or you just stick with that, all that good air, all that great oxygen, nice and refreshing, filling your body and releasing anything that they want to release. They are going to know. They're going to choose that. We're not choosing for them. I was giving you examples and ideas, but we don't have to bring them back to a place of anything being negative. So we're definitely not taking them out of that glow. We're just having them take 3 nice cleansing mindful breaths. That's all. And so they're going to breathe in and they're going to breathe out. And so, again, their nervous system already is going to be so nice and calm and regulated from your session. But it's just teaching them what they can do in between sessions. So you can tell them in that moment, whatever it is that you need to release, whatever is going on, go ahead and release that. And then see if there's something that you need or something that you want to shift in that moment. And then take your 3 breaths and then give yourself whatever that was. So you're just giving them examples. It could be this, it could be that. It's not that at the end of the session, they have things left that they need to release or that they're still holding on to. It's just like Cormac was saying, giving it to them as homework, as I said, my clients like to call them implementation or action items. So it doesn't feel like work. Because homework always makes people think of like something they have to
No.
do or they should exactly or they should do. And it's like, no, this is something you could do in order to support yourself throughout this week, or however long in between when you're going to see them for sessions, because we do want to give them things that they can do in their toolbox in between sessions so that they feel like they can support themselves. It's not us going in and fixing them, right? This is a collaboration and it's their work that they're doing. And we need to give them ongoing processes, whether that's through those suggestions, through the anchors that we give them, through these types of techniques and things that they can do on their own, because this isn't just about a short term fix. This is about a new pathway and a new lifestyle for them. And so having these tools is going to support them to not have those relapses. They're going to be able to have this be a sustainable lifestyle from now on. And that's what we want for them.
By the way, has anybody noticed, like when you were doing that exercise, that you began to feel differently? I certainly have. Anyways, yeah, at least it's not long. Yeah, it's quieting down everything. I had all this chat in my head about what I was going to be doing here with you guys tonight, and now it's gone. I hope that doesn't mean I've forgotten. I've written it down over here, so.
It does not mean you've forgotten.
But
It
it's
just means that, all that busyness that we were talking about, when you've been coming from a busy day and you have all these things on your mind, like, okay, this is what I need to do and this and that. And, there's so many places that we get pulled with our thoughts and with our energy. It helps them to focus. It helps. It won't take away your memories, absolutely, but it helps you to be more calm and focused so you can be more effective. So I have a feeling, Cormac, now you're going to be able to bring all the good stuff because you got more calm and grounded before you did your training.
brings a better clarity. And Tony Robbins always says the quickest way to change how you feel is to change your breathing.
Yeah, change your state. Yep.
So when we can give them that kind of something like that, and you know what I find from experience when I've given clients breathing techniques, it's important that we help them understand that even though it seems simple, like don't let the simplicity of it fool you. Some people, their logical thinking mind will go, oh yeah, well, I don't need to do that. I could, but I don't need to. So we also need to help them understand that, like I said to them, if I want them to do some homework or to do some extra do some stuff outside of the session, um, I generally give them the analogy of like a prescription for antibiotics. Like you've got to follow the course, the prescription course. You can't just take the antibiotics for a few days and then stop taking them because you're going to do yourself more harm than good. So it really does happen a lot that the simplicity of something makes people think, oh, it's fine. I know what to do, but I'm just not going to do it. So bringing them through it when they're with you, and then bringing their conscious awareness to how they feel differently is important. And what I would do myself is I would ask them, like, have you noticed that? Have you noticed a shift? I might even ask a vague question. Have you noticed something happening inside as a result of that? That's a vague question, right?
Mhm.
I mean, something is always happening inside. So we give them a space to go inside and check and go, oh yeah, actually, I have noticed something. And then like I would jump on it because it reconfirms and corroborates for them that something is changing. So how do you feel different? Or what exactly is that? Notice how you feel different. Yeah, I noticed something. What is that? How did that happen? So if we're getting them to answer our questions, they're corroborating that something has happened inside. So it feeds into that like solid belief that this can be something that's really useful for them.
And one of my favorite questions is, what do you notice? Like you said, like, tell me more about that. What did you notice?
Yeah.
What are you noticing inside? Yeah. A little bit more troubleshooting if your clients are having a challenging time with breathing. Couple tips on that, okay? Because sometimes that does happen. And so, one of the things is, again, at their own pace. So they don't have to count the way that they think they're supposed to count. There's no wrong way to do that. The most important thing is breathing out twice as long as they breathe in. The numbers help people who have those anxious racing thoughts very much. However, if someone gets anxious from counting, they don't have to count. They can just breathe out for twice as long as they breathe in, and that's okay too. So, giving them permission to customize it and adjust it to what's going to feel good for them is important. If they just pause and don't count to seven, that's okay. So we want to be really permissive with this and allow them to find what feels right. Okay, so that's one thing that sometimes I run into. Also, anyone with a history of asthma, breathing out is the most challenging part, not the breathing in, actually. A lot of people don't realize that. So, again, if it's just twice as long as they breathe in, that's okay. Something that I didn't guide you in necessarily, but can be helpful. And I do this quite a bit with clients. I do this with all of my pregnant clients. My pregnant clients, we do not hold our breath. So that it's just a pause and then out for 8, just so you know. I do not have them hold their breath because that's withholding oxygen. So we don't do that. However, one thing that you can do with this is you can actually have them breathe through their nose. That's the other thing I do with my expecting clients. But I also do this myself, and it's very beneficial. There's actually a book on this called Breathe. So you can look that up. But basically, nose breathing, not through the mouth, breathing through the nose. And this is great for anxiety as well, because there's a couple things that happen when we breathe in and out through our nose. We oxygenate 30 to 40% more, and it's almost impossible to hyperventilate. So anybody who gets panic attacks, anything like that, nose breathe. So that's a really important piece because it's okay to breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. That's absolutely fine. But if anybody has that issue, when we're talking about efficiency of breathing, if they're having an issue with the breath, I have them try to do the nose breathing the whole time because that's going to help them. They're going to, like I said, oxygenate more. That's going to feel really good. It's going to feel even better. And think about that. If you breathe through your nose, we can't be hyperventilating. So if somebody's really dysregulated in that way, that's going to actually calm that down. So I just wanted to give a little bit of that when we were talking about troubleshooting, because I don't want you to get stuck if a client says, well, that actually doesn't feel good, or that makes me feel more anxious, or they, start to have issues with the breath, because a lot of people breathe really shallowly and are not used to actually being mindful of their breathing. And so sometimes they might have a little bit of a challenge. You can pace and match and lead them through that breath. So that's why I did it with you. And you can do the same thing. I do that with clients. When they're doing it, I do it with them too, because we're co regulating their nervous system, even over Zoom, their nervous system and my nervous system are co regulating with each other. So I'm the thermostat, even if they're being the thermometer. I'm the thermostat. I'm setting the temperature. You are setting the temperature and the pace in your sessions. And so I make sure that I'm in my window. And so then they can actually feel that, their nervous system, they'll pick up that energy and they'll match you. Okay, so that's another way that we can lead our clients in those sessions if they are starting to feel like they're having a challenge. Stay calm, stay confident, and just show them that it's okay and that it's figure outable, and lead them in how to do that.
So, um, before we move on to the next part, I'm going to suggest we get a 5 minute break. So, if you want to refresh yourself with water or tea or coffee, or just stand up and stretch or something, we will be back here in exactly 5 minutes and ready to go. Is that okay?
That's perfect. Yeah, whatever you identified you need, go do it, and we'll see you back here in 5.
Okay. We're nearly back. I'll give it 30 seconds.
Sounds good.
Okay, let's roll back into it then. Um, so I was wondering which of the techniques I would use, which one would delve into here today, and I decided to do that one that I mentioned earlier about breaking the trance state. So to the stepping into the addictive state, then stepping out and observing and learning something from it. So here's what I want you to know. This technique, along with all of the techniques that I teach here, like the limit on what you can use it is only in your own mind. So this, I would use this for like I work with people with cocaine addiction a lot. So I'd have them in that space where they're about to have it. Um, and they feel like this white powder is controlling them. And when that happens, it's always gone to the same outcome, the same outcome, the same outcome, which is them having taken the cocaine, having the drug. Imagine you can use the very same thing for somebody who's home in their kitchen at night time. They're getting a little bit bored and they're thinking, there's some crisps or chips in the cupboard, I'm gonna go and get them. It's the very same thing, right? So if it's emotional eating, something like that. So have them in that space where you're going to the kitchen, you're opening the cupboards to see what we're going to eat. Have them in that space, bring them to there. And then we pause time, bring them out of that, look back and observe. Think about this. If you're working with someone with a phobia, would it be useful for them in that space where they see that spider or they're just about to freak out? Would it be useful to pause, have them step outside of themselves, look back from a different perspective and observe? Is there a chance they might learn something of use to them in that moment? Especially if we were to suggest that they learn something of use to them. If we were to say, notice what you notice, notice what's different to what you've seen before. Go beyond what you've seen before, or notice something that you've not seen before. What happens when we give someone a suggestion like that? They see something that they've not seen before. They get a realization, they get a clarity, they get something there in their mind that that it's not necessarily that it's new information, but it's just that like it clicks. You know, like when something just clicks for you. It might be something that you've already known at some level, but now it becomes clear it clicks. So when we bring them into this space, so you can do it like for addictive substances or behaviors. You can do it for emotional eating. You can do it for phobia. I wonder, could you do it for anxiety? Could you do it for depression? Could you have them in that space where they're about to do anxiety? We don't have anxiety, by the way. I'm not going to go into anxiety training here, but I will tell you this. Your client does not have anxiety. Your client does not have depression. So there's a pen, right? I can pick it up and put it down. Here's my water bottle. I can pick it up and put it down. Anxiety is not a thing that I can pick up or put down, right? It's not a noun. In NLP, they say you can't put it into a wheelbarrow. That's just the saying. So it's not a thing, it's an action, it's a verb. So your client doesn't have it, your client does it. We do every state. But like we do addiction, we do problem, we do anxiety. So let's just say around anxiety. So how do we do it? So if it was an outside force acting upon your client, they'd be a victim. There's nothing they can do about it. But once they accept that, oh, you're saying it's something I'm doing. Now we got to be careful about how we say that to our clients if they come into us with anxiety. We go, you're just doing it. We can't say it like that to them. We gotta have the rapport first before that's the foundation for anything. And a lot of that will come from how you present yourself, the confidence in your body, the care for your client. So how do they do it? They do it through their words, like that's their inner voice. What's the narrative that runs through my mind all the time? They do it through their thoughts. What am I thinking about all the time when I feel anxious? And their body, their physiology, like where are they carrying tension? Are they stressed in there? Is it around their eyes, their forehead? Is it something in the pit of their stomach? Does it carry it across their neck and shoulders? As Jody said earlier, are they stopping breathing? And do they go like that when they're talking about these things? So so um that's just a little kind of side thing on anxiety and on any state really. And when you understand this and you share this with your client, that it's not something that they have but that they're doing, it immediately empowers them. And if they here's what happens. Here's what happens. They start to realize, actually, I do that. And I ask my anxiety clients sometimes, let me ask you this, honestly, now when you think about it, have you ever indulged in anxiety? Have you ever indulged in panic? And every one of them will tell you they have done at least once or twice. That like they were feeling that they knew they could snap out of it at some level, but they didn't. They let the pattern take them into panic because maybe there was some kind of benefit that they're not consciously aware of. So, so the simple steps around breaking the trance state. So consider, because you guys did the cocaine training with me, we'll look at that as an example. So the person is thinking, okay, they're about to either purchase it or use it. Maybe they have it there and they're about to purchase it or use it. Or they could be sitting in their car outside a shop wondering, will they go in and buy that packet of cigarettes or not? And this does happen with your clients, people that are trying to quit. And sometimes they cave and they go in and buy them. And sometimes they go, no, something different happens. And they drive home without them and they feel better for it. So, so we bring them into that place, right? So with the cocaine, it would be, imagine you're there. Imagine you can see that like little bag of cocaine in front of you or that line of white powder. You've got your card out, you're cutting it. Like we need to put them in that real situation that they're in. It's good. We talked a little bit. We've talked in training certainly around the pre-talk and the kind of information that we get from them, so that if we understand, are they in the pub, in the local pub taking it, are they the kind of person that never takes it with someone else, that just takes it by themselves. So we get an idea, so we bring them into that space. Whatever is the unwanted behavior, even thought or feeling, we bring them into that space where you're about to, not when you've taken it, but where you're about to do it, but you haven't done it yet. And simply, so that's like step one, we bring them in. But we use our language and we're not our knowledge about that state to suggest things to them in it. So they're actually in it. So see what you see. Notice the chair beneath you. Notice that coffee table pill in front of you. Notice the grains of the white powder. Or it could be notice your hand going to the fridge. Notice it opening the door of the fridge. You get me? So we want to bring in some of these details so they're fully in that space. So we're mimicking what already happens. And then the next step is I like to pause time. I think it makes it easier. You can just say float out of your own body, but I like to say pause time and then float out of your own body. So that kind of suggests that the time and the body has paused in there, and time and space has paused, but we can get to float out of our own body. So now we've got this extra kind of dimension that the control loss doesn't have. And look back and see yourself. And notice, then we ask them to notice insights, understandings, learnings. Notice something that you hadn't noticed before. Lots of people will be, because there's a different perspective, lots of people will look at their own behavior. Have you ever behaved in a way that, wasn't fitting of you, that you kind of look back afterwards and went, oh God, why did I say that? Right? Everyone's had those kind of experiences because we're outside of it. and we look back with a different perspective. So what will happen with them is they look back in, they look at themselves with their drug or their alcohol or their cigarettes, and they look back in and they go, that's just sad. That's just not who I want to be. And people will get like very quickly emotional there. And if they do get emotional, both Jody and I were on the trainer at the weekend, and someone was saying, was it Sean Michael Andrews was saying about, they say about Jerry Kine, if someone gets emotional, he'll go, thank you, God, or something like that. Don't be afraid of someone crying. Don't be afraid of emotion, because that emotion itself is trance. And from there, we can actually do a lot of work. So if they're looking at themselves and they get a bit emotional, you know, to tell them that's okay. Tell them emotion is important. Emotion causes motion, which is change. Emotion causes motion, which is change. So, so the simple steps, we're in that situation. We pause time, we float out, and we observe. And what are we observing? The kind of words there I said: insights, understandings, learnings, things you've not seen before, something new, something beyond what you've previously noticed. Then what we're looking to do is, maybe they notice the big picture. What do I actually want? Do I want to be stuck in this behavior every time my body looks for it? Or do I want to be at a higher level in charge? Do I want to look at the big picture? What do I actually want from my life? Who is it? What kind of person do I want to be? And so when we suggest these things to them and see the big picture, I suggest then that you float back into your own body, and you can either have them float back into the body and notice that you're doing something different, notice how different you feel. Or sometimes it's okay to say, okay, float back into your body and watch yourself, because there's a little bit of confusion. Then they're like, am I in my own body or am I not? So there's a little kind of confusion and dissociation, which helps with the trance. Um, so it's floating back in, and you've got options. Floating back in and notice how different you feel. Notice yourself, um, putting that into the bin. Notice yourself closing the fridge door, pouring yourself a glass of water and feeling great. It could be if they had been, maybe they're meant to go out for a jog every evening and they've committed to doing that. And there's one evening it's looking windy outside and cold, and they're thinking, oh, I won't. Maybe there we float out of our own body. We see the big picture. What do I want? Well, I want to be fit and healthy and strong and able. We float back into that body and watch yourself go, put on those training shoes and go out for your run. So it can be a desired behavior or one that we're leaving behind. So you got the simple steps. We're saying we put them in that situation. We pause time, we bring them out. We get them to look back and watch and learn and float back in, and then do that behavior that you want. Do the thing that you want to be doing. And then typically, I would repeat that a few times over, at least 3 times over. A good idea is to say to them, once you've done it once, a good idea is to say to them, okay, 1, 2, 3, eyes open. And don't tell them that we're going to tell them to, we're not going to say when I count to 3, your eyes will be open. I would just say, okay, 1, 2, 3, eyes open, and sleep. And sleep, they should just go straight down like that. And if they don't, they say, that's right, close your eyes, go deeper and deeper. So we're using a fractionation. I don't know if you know about fractionation, but the idea is that when we're in trance, we open our eyes, we come out for a moment, we go back in, we go deeper. It also has the effect of kind of breaking the state. So we've put them into the addictive state, they come out of it, they learn something new, they go back into their body, they do something new. Then we're just repeating that process 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. And each time we can ask them, what are you noticing that's different? It's okay to speak to your client, have them speak back to you. Ask them, what do you notice that's different? Um, so you're training their mind essentially to be in that situation where they were always controlled. Every single time they were controlled. Now, when they're in that situation, because we've trained them, we've unconsciously trained them. Now, when they're in that situation in the future, there's different possibilities available to them that were not available to them before that. Like logically, they knew I don't have to take this thing, but it wasn't really available to them. It wasn't available to their experience or the neural pathways in their mind. But we have now created neural pathways of them being in that situation and not doing that thing, and doing something different and feeling better about it. We've actually helped them to create those neural pathways. Now it's possibility. And if they want to then be that person that steps away from that addiction, now that possibility is there. We've given them a real big handout. And that's just one of the techniques. It's just one of them. And each and every one of these techniques, once you like practice them, watch it over again on the replays, look at them, learn them, understand a bit more, you will know that you've got a toolbox that you can do any work with, not just addiction work. It's just asking yourself, okay, where would that come in handy? Like any tool that I've taught you, you give me any single kind of condition or issue that a client can come to you with, I can show you how you can use any of those tools to help. Um, so so they're back out there living their life, and they've been 3, 4, 5 weeks off cocaine, and then they're going out to their friend's 30th, and they know that their friends that they used to take cocaine with are going to be there, and they know that they kind of have to go to that 30th birthday party. They don't want to not go, and people say, "Why didn't you show up?" So they know that they're going to be challenged. We've created powerful neural pathways in their mind. We've helped them make those changes. We've helped them break the pattern, interrupt the pattern, put something else in there. Would it be useful for that person to have been using the somatic technique that Jody taught us earlier? Would it be useful for that person to have been using that on a regular basis, to be good at it, and to do that before they go out that night? Would that be useful? Could that be one of those things that makes the difference between success or failure? Because a person can be succeed today, succeed tomorrow, succeed the next day, the next day, the next day, the next day, the next day. And this can succeed in ways after visiting you that they simply weren't doing before that. But what we need them to do with addiction is to succeed every bloody day, don't we? Every day. And so all they need is one little, they say about like the criminals and cops, like the cops only have to get lucky once. Criminals have to get lucky every time. So like we're like that. We need to win every time. We need to help our client win every time, because if they have a failure, then that's called a relapse. And they might call that a failure themselves. So if we have these extra tools to enable them and to embolden them, and we've explained to them like this can be, I said to my clients about tools, it's not the solution to your problem, but it can be a big part of the solution, because there are times when you will feel different. And maybe that 30th birthday party, you've been off the cocaine for 6, 7, 8 weeks. You kind of feel confident in it. You're like, yeah, no, I can manage this. When they've had a few drinks and the friend says, "Do you want to have some cocaine?" Or in their head, are they thinking, "Well, I've quit it, so I can take some tonight and quit again, no problem." Are they thinking that? Are they allowing themselves to have it, and then if they are, why are they? And if they could have a technique that they've practiced to, within like a couple of minutes, to change how they feel, that helped them to forget about taking the cocaine after a friend that night and actually continue to move on in their life the way they want to.
Yeah, Cormac, we have a couple questions.
Great.
Um, yeah, so I'm going to do Lisa's last question first, and then we'll go back.
Mhm.
So Leah first said, I can see it being successful even during the event if others are partaking. So that was great. I'm glad that resonated, Leah. And then Lisa asked, if clients use at home and socially, would you do the visualizing in both scenarios in the same session?
Yeah, absolutely, Lisa, I would, yeah. And I would find out as many different times and places that they do it, and I would use it in all those. And you know what? You can even you can even nearly be like you have a checklist and give the suggestion, okay, that one's ticked off now. Because everything we do is suggestion, right? So if they think that that one's ticked off, okay, in the pub, okay, that's done. Now we're going to talk to you about when you take it at home. Okay, that one's ticked off now. So yeah, absolutely. The more information we gather um, about those situations, the more powerful our intervention is going to be for sure.
And Cormac, can I just ask you, do you do that in one session or do you repeat those sorry, my dog's about to walk on me, visualizations during the more than one session? Sorry, down.
I normally do it in one, Lisa.
Okay.
I like one of the sessions. I'll do that plus maybe I'll do the two rows. Maybe they might be the two techniques I'd use in one particular session. Um, but there's nothing to say you can't use that in every session. Do you know what I
Okay.
mean? And like
Great.
I always encourage, and you'll know that from my training. I said this is how I do it, and this is a way that works really really well. And these are the tools and techniques that I use, and that have been helping me to help people overcome addiction for years. Um, so the actual techniques, learn them in this way, and they're going to be really, really good for you and understand them in that way. But use them then any way you like.
Okay.
So if you decide that there's going to be a 10, 12 minute part of every session you do that's going to bring in that technique, then you go and do that.
Okay. Great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And Lisa had one other question too, Cormac. Which you kind of already answered, but she asked, can you use it to help someone who wants more motivation when they procrastinate instead of taking action? And I told her absolutely, because you can utilize the techniques for anything. But anything you would like to say about that?
Yes, there is. I would actually like Lisa to tell the rest of us how she would do it in that situation. Because when you teach, you learn.
So you take them into the scenario where they were about to carry out a plan, for example, go to the gym, and then go to the moment when they get distracted or start procrastinating about something, and then we get them to visualize putting their shoes on, putting their outfit on, walking to the gym, going to the gym, leaving the gym, feeling great, coming home.
Exactly. So they're in the situation where you bring them to the situation where the problem thing was coming up.
Hmm.
So you were meant to go, but you're looking at the couch thinking, I'll sit there instead.
Yeah.
Bring them to there, right to that point, and then float out of yourself. What is it you really want?
Okay.
And what needs to happen in order for you to get there. So yeah, and that's the thing, Lisa. You see, you have the answer there yourself,
Hmm.
and and you all do really, guys. Like when you think about it, if I posed a question to you, think of any client you've seen in the last few weeks, and ask yourself, how could you use this method to help any one of them? You all have an answer. You all do. You just like it's and once you start thinking in that way, you're opening up the possibility then for understanding this and using it in any way with clients. So, any other questions around it? Um, so I'm going to ask a few questions of you guys then. So, Ron, can you unmute yourself for a moment? Would that be okay? What's the give us a sense of some of the last clients you've seen, Ron, or what kind of what work you do or have been doing?
Um, I'm very new in the process, and currently I'm just working out of the house until
Yeah,
I get the electronic portion of it all built up.
yeah,
But so it's all been some Facebook things and some referral. when I'm in St. Louis, this is exactly what I want to do. And addiction and so and so many other things. But that was like the reason I wanted to do this. And coincidentally, I've had a couple drinkers, and this has been fantastic. Yeah, and yeah, this has been really good. I did I the reason I want to get into this because it's a whole lot more reporting than what I was doing previously. And this lady called me Saturday, and I gave her a suggestion while she was under just to do that whenever she felt like. And she said a beer commercial came on the TV, and she just happened to look down, and her hands was doing it. And I mean, every time I hear something like that, man, I just get goosebumps. It's awesome. So yeah, I can't applaud you enough. This has been fantastic.
Fantastic. And so, like, if you're working with someone with alcohol, then you just, I mean, you know how to use that. Go to that
Yeah,
point where you're going into the liquor store to buy, or you're about to open the bottle.
yeah. I don't need 400 scripts. This goes with everything.
Yeah.
And the stuff you've been talking about with anxiety today has been pretty eye opening too. About you don't have anxiety.
Mm.
You're doing it. That's a great answer. My wife struggles with it a little bit, and she'll say my anxiety. I'm like, it's not yours. You can't have it.
Yeah, exactly. And it is, and it's the creating, and like we've got to have that space where we can um where we can say that to a client. One of the tricks, we call it a trick or tips that I use in order to say that to a client, because it's not the easiest thing to say. We've got to be good at saying, actually, you're the one that's doing this, because
Right,
a lot
right,
of
right,
people are highly offended. Um,
right.
so one of the things I might say is, I might say, you know what, I generally don't say this to a client until like at least session three, but I think I'll say it to you because I think you'll get it.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and so they kind of feel a little bit more special, and they're like, okay, yeah, they
yeah,
respect that you said it to them at this session.
yeah. That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah. Um, okay, so any other kind of questions around what we've done there? No. So as most of you, I think, know that we have evolved the training from that 2-day training into a 4-day training. We are going to be running it in October, um, in Chicago and online. And so I suppose after um, after Jody and I met and kind of got talking about the work we do and our different backgrounds, we felt there was really a big space for bringing this trauma-informed approach into working with addiction, so that not only are we helping someone to kind of get rid of that behavior, but there's always something that drives the behavior, and that can be a trauma in lots of cases. And how can we then help them to not, move from this addiction to another one? Like, if there's a void in there that needs to be filled, maybe we need to go in and clean that out. So I was speaking a few days ago, a podcast with Dan in Michigan. Um, I talked about a client that came to me maybe 2 months ago to quit smoking, and I was speaking to her again this week. And she rang me up and she said, you know what? This is amazing. I haven't touched a cigarette. I haven't wanted a cigarette. Haven't even occurred to me. Hasn't even come into my mind. But I have started eating sweets a lot more. And I've started eating chocolate a lot more. And so we got a little bit more into the conversation. And when she was growing up, she had an older brother who was highly autistic. And um, that brought out a lot of violence in him. So he had to get special attention from mom and dad. And she recalls when she was 5 or 6, her older brother coming home from a special school and then having to live at home. And he just terrified her. And like, parents couldn't be, on top of it all the time. And so mom had to spend so much time with him that she began to feel left out. And she said to me, she said, I clearly remember falling off a tree when I was about 6 years of age. And I'd hurt myself. And what does a child do? They cry out for mommy or cry out for daddy, and they expect someone to come. And she realized, she said, I can't cry out for mommy because she's probably not going to come. And she made a decision that moment to go to the biscuit tin in the kitchen. And that year, as a 6-year-old child, she put up 3 stone weight that year as a 6-year-old child. That's like what, 40, 50 pounds, and like as a 6-year-old child. And from there, so the biscuit tin was her solution. She needed a solution. She wasn't getting it from where she needed to get it. So she got it from the biscuit tin. Now, if you're speaking to someone that has addiction to hard drugs when they grow up, like heroin is the same as the biscuits. It's just an adult version of it, or cocaine or anything like that. It's just an adult version. So I said to her that I'll just one second, Ron. So I said to her that I will to come back in and I'll work with her. But I know now. So I did one session around quitting smoking, helped her to quit smoking. But I know now that we're going to need to go a little bit deeper, and we're going to need to resolve the trauma. So I'm not going to look this time at the surface level addiction, which is sweetened chocolate. I will certainly give suggestions around it, but it's not going to be my main area of focus. My main area of focus is resolving, is healing that inner child, is healing that trauma. So for her, that was trauma. For her, not having mom to give her a hug and kiss her better, or whatever it is. And by the way, that's you've all experienced hypnosis. Your first form of pain control hypnosis was when your mommy kissed your hand better and you felt better. And me as a dad, I've got 3 small children, so every time I do that, let me kiss it better for you. Yeah, they're crying, kiss it better, they're all happy again. That's the first time you experience pain control hypnosis. So she needed to get something. She needed like falling off the tree was one thing. The trauma was that she had to manage it herself. And she used the biscuits as her way of managing trauma, her way of kind of self-regulating at the time, or consoling. So the reason I'm talking about that is the elements, and like one of the big attractions for me for what Jodie was bringing into this, and was that ability to resolve things at a deeper level, so that when a client comes into you with an addiction, we'll help get rid of the addiction, but we'll also help to get rid of like the kind of festering wound that's causing it. And when we can do that, we've created an amazing transformation in our client. They don't even know the extra work that we've done for them in lots of cases. They'll know unconsciously, and they'll talk to people about you. They'll rave about you. They'll go, I went to quit smoking and my whole life has changed. Things I used to get snappy with my husband or my wife about stuff. I used to be snappy with the children. Don't do that anymore. All that's gone. So it goes beyond just helping get rid of the unwanted behavior. And it goes to a deeper place where we're giving our clients like probably the best gift they've ever been given in their lives. So we are we've come up with this. We've evolved and expanded on some of the tools and techniques I've already showed you, and we have merged in a whole big extra 2 days of work around the trauma side of things. Now you'll be able to use a lot of this trauma training beyond addiction as well, of course, anxieties and depressions, and all sorts of derealization or different kinds of feelings that someone's experiencing. Jody, did that give it a good explanation?
Yeah, that was fantastic. Yeah, it's important to be able to, when a client is coming in with trauma or that gets revealed, like Mark was saying, we worked with somebody with smoking and then this came up because she just replaced the habit with something else. And so when those things happen, you want to have those tools in your toolbox in order to be able to go deeper with people. And so what we have done with this training is we've been able to weave in the trauma piece and add in a lot more experiential work too, a lot more mentorship, a lot more hands-on with us, helping to guide you and lead you, give you feedback. And so we looked at everything that we did in this last training and looked at the questions that people had and how we wanted to expand on that so that you'll have a 3 to 5 session process that you're going to be able to know how to pull those pieces out and weave them together to be really client centered and meet your clients where they are at. And so not only are you going to have all of the tools that you already have learned, we're going to expand on those, go even deeper into those, have you practice so that they become natural and become your own. And then you're going to learn my restore process as well, with all those different pieces that you can pull in on the trauma side and either weave in to the process that you've already learned with the ICANN method, for example, or to do 1 or 2 standalone sessions. So I'm going to take you through my entire process for that to help to create that transformational healing.
And I would say so. We said, okay, we'll have a 3 to 5 session framework for you guys. 3 because that's typically what I have for my clients. But I certainly think we'll be shifting that and encouraging all you guys as well to shift that to 5 so that we can get all that extra um, deeper level work done and emotional release work done for our clients. Um, when we're talking to them and we say, okay, we're not telling them what we're doing. We're not telling them the features. We're just telling them the benefits. So the benefits are you're not trapped by that behavior anymore. Plus, you're going to notice changes in your life that like free you up and make you feel lighter. Do you ever notice that sometimes you get defensive a little bit too quickly with people in your family? Do you ever notice that if someone doesn't respond to you or text you back in time that you begin to feel uneasy? Do you ever notice these kind of things happening? Um, that if these things are happening, they generally have a root in some kind of trauma. And so we know that. We don't even need to tell them that they have a root in trauma. We can tell them in our pre-talk. We don't need to tell them over the phone. But what we do want to do is like tell them that if they notice these things happening, that all this is going to change too. That it's like a whole weight. There's a whole lot of different emotional baggage inside of every human being. And they come from those kind of high emotion times in our lives. And it created something kind of on our psyche. This is how I manage things in life, and we just think that that's the way it is because we're so used to those patterns. We just think that's the way it is. So if you notice, there are some people, everyone will know them that we all know some people that we kind of look at them and we go like, how are you like that? Do you not see do you not see that? But they don't see how they're like that. And I'm not kind of judging like certain people, but like they don't because that's just who they are and that's what they feel. But they're running patterns based on things that have happened, based on things that have roots like back in the past. And so when we can resolve that, then everything that was built upon it, everything that was built upon that kind of traumatic foundation can begin to slip away again, and the space is created for creating something new. We create that something new then with like a lot of it is with our future pacing is like imagine you can see yourself now. Imagine you're out there in 6 months' time. And 6 months since you've had cocaine, it seems so far away, so long ago. And notice the other things that have changed in their lives. So So I'd be now. I'm kind of the more I'm thinking about it now. I'm like moving towards the 5 session framework. But you'll have an option for clients. You'll have an option, and sometimes it's good to have an option. You could offer them the 5, and if you need to do a backup of a 3, you know that that's solid as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, I mean, I just wanted to like, I wanted to just tell you about the training, the further training, give you a little bit of a sense of it. I'm not here to sell it to you or anything. I just want to tell you guys about it. If you decide that you'd like to join us, we'd be more than happy to have you guys. Um, do you want to put the link up again there, Jody, if anyone wants to just kind of click on it and see? There's a sales page there, guys, that will it explains a lot of it to you further. We did our best to put explanations into the sales page for you guys so you can get an understanding of it. Oh yeah, if you don't know already, you guys get 50% off for being in this group. So there's a code there called half off now. When you get to checkout, put that in, it gives you 50% off. And you can pay it over 3 months. So it kind of makes it nice and easy for you. And what you're getting is 4 days of training. Sorry, Ron, I didn't come back to you. Go on ahead.
That's okay. I got 5 new ones since. What is the date of this training?
The dates.
It's October 21st to the 24th.
Yeah.
I was just going to jump in with those, Ron. Thank you. Yes. So
that's what I thought I heard, and I am going to be out of town on vacation, and I was wondering if, since we've signed up for this, if there's like another branch to sign up to just watch the videos.
You will absolutely get the recordings when you sign up for this. Yes. So we're going to be doing it live in Chicago following the Mid-America Conference, but it is virtual as well. So you can choose if you want to come in person or online, and it will be recorded and you will have lifetime access to the recordings. So even if you, like I said, are on vacation, you can't make it live, you will be able to get that. And we're going to have calls similar to this scheduled in the 60 days after the training, so through the end of the year. So you will be invited to those as well.
Yeah, we'll be doing those, and these will be recorded and sent out to everyone too. There's a whole lot of more things in there on actually. We come up with a lot of really cool bonuses. There's going to be audio of me working like fully through like a 3 session strategy with the client. So you'll hear everything, like what I'm saying, what they're saying, my line of questioning, how we do it, how I explain things to them. You'll hear the whole therapy and all of that. So we've popped in a lot of things there to make it easy for people to decide to do it. Also the price on it, you're getting half off the early bird price. It's already gone up, but you guys can still get it at this. You're getting $977 as the price. You're getting half off that, so it's under $500. It's already gone up now for the Mid-America to $1497. But here you'll still get that for a few more days on that link. So yeah, we said we'd make it as affordable as possible for people, especially people that I've worked with before and Jody's worked with before. So yeah, it's a solid training, and it's just designed to bring you to the next level, and to probably crucially to have confidence in using the tools. So Jody used the word experiential learning there a while ago. That's what it is. It's like you're going to be in there, you're going to be practicing, you're going to be watching practicing, you're going to be like, what we want is that you kind of learn it as your own. So I don't want people having scripts when we're practicing things. You'll have the scripts, but I don't want people reading through. What I want is that you're practicing something like that you've got 3 steps or 5 steps, whatever that is, and you've got one word, like you've got a page with 5 words written on it, one word for this step, and then you just do what you know you do the best you can do with that step, because now you're forcing yourself. If you're reading it, you might be cheating yourself. But if you just have to have an understanding, okay, what's this step trying to do? And how best can I do that? Then you're forcing yourself to learn. You can't but learn in those situations.
Yeah, so I think now we should ask if anyone has questions. We're happy to answer them for you.
I do have a quick question.
Sure.
And I think I'm coming from a place of overload, which I'll explain more privately. But one of the things that I was thinking about was, am I going to be able to retain everything from 4 days of training after a conference and after the post-conference workshop on the 20th? Like, how much can a brain handle in 7 days?
It's a good question. I remember watching, and Richard Bandler, of course, will be at the conference, and I remember watching him, speak at a conference, and it was like a 3-day thing, and there was a woman up the front, and she had her pen and paper out to take notes, and he looked at her and he says, "What do you do?" She goes, "I'm taking notes." "Why are you taking notes?" So I'll remember things. And he said to her, "Do you forget your name?" "No." "Well, how the hell are you going to forget a full 3 days of a conference?" So his thing was that it's experiential as well. Like, that's what his thing was. He doesn't need people to kind of learn all the different. He didn't want them to learn the different individual things. He wanted them to be in there and have an experience of something, because he knew that was going to be really powerful. What I would say to yourself, Leah, there are a few, we have thought about that, and there are a few of the backup things. There's a manual, there's recordings of everything. And I always think, like, so many people go and do a training and they don't use the backup recordings. You use them, because every time you look back, you get this whole new understanding. Um, one of my previous trainees here in Dublin, Declan, did one of my diploma courses, and he also happens to be good at video editing. So he edited all the video, and he was saying to me, "This is amazing. I get to go back through the whole course." He says, "I'm learning things in a whole different way. Things I thought I'd forgotten about it." So that's going to be really good. I also, as many of you probably know already, I also um, do spend time, because I think it's valuable. I do spend time at the start and the end of sessions to frame the mind and open the mind up to that deeper level of learning. So you are learning, whether you know it or not, at kind of more of an accelerated rate. And where people notice that the most is when they're in a session, and the session is over, and they look back and they go, "How did I say that? I didn't even know I knew that." And when you've come up with something that's brilliant, and you're going, "Wow, where did I get that from?" Um, that's what I hope happens out of, when we hypnotize people for learning. So, yeah, there's a lot. Again, the whole Tony Robbins things, when he does the Unleash the Power, like, it's 4 or 5 days. Sometimes he does 7, 8 days, 12 to 15 hours a day, total immersion.
Yeah.
Because there is a lot of very good experiential learning in that. The individual stuff, you might be going back because there's so much, but when you go back to look at something, that does help. And again, I would encourage anyone that does any of my training. I do put a lot of stuff into it, but when you have a recording, look back, you get a whole new level of learning the second time you go through it.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're weaving in practice, which you've experienced before, but then that last day, we're going to be very hands-on with that. And you will retain so much when you are utilizing it, when you're actually putting it into practice and implementing it. I find that sticks. because then you've already made it your own. Like Cormac was saying, instead of just looking at and reading through the script and having more of an outline and working with different people who are focusing on different things in those sessions when you're practicing, and then us being able to visit, whether you're online or in person, and go around and give feedback and be able to give you tips and listen in and have discussion. Those are the things that are really retained at even that conscious level. You know, we really want it to be conscious and subconscious learning, and for that to be able to stick for you. And so everything that you're going to have to take home with you, and the recordings, manual, the audios, all of those things are going to be reinforcing everything that you're learning. So we put a lot of thought into that exact question for this training to make sure that you are going to be able to go home and start to put this into practice with clients right away, instead of it just sitting collecting dust on the shelf.
Yeah, and like one of the when I run training, anytime I've run training in the past, we could get great reviews, but one of the big areas of feedback is just having more time to do the stuff. So
Practice.
that's a big part here as well, that you're learning it. You're in doing it. You know, then you have the backup of the notes and the manual and the recordings, so that means you can just jump straight into it when you're there doing it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions? I think we're going to keep open the pricing and the discounts because we knew we were having this call today through Friday. Is that right, Cormac?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, there was a lot of people asking last week, so and sometimes I think people, you said, in payday in the States might be next Friday, the middle of the month or something. So
yeah, it's usually kind of the 15th to the 20th or Friday, that kind of thing. So yeah, we did have a lot of people asking, and we knew we were going to be here today, and we wanted to make sure we could share it with all of you too.
Not doing this one in person in Ireland, Lisa, just yet. Will probably will be next May. This side of the Atlantic. I don't know whether it's going to be in Dublin or London, or maybe somewhere else. We will be doing it in Europe in kind of mid-May 26. But I don't know exactly yet whether it'll be, I mean, I'm thinking it'll be Dublin or London, or unless we could go somewhere nice and warm, maybe the south of Spain or something. Do it on a beach.
If we leave you in charge, that's where we'll end up. Absolutely. So yeah, but it will be on that side, but it won't be until next year, likely. And this is our introductory pricing for this. And so I definitely think, you know, we've had this conversation. You know, if somebody wants to get in on the information now and watch it next year, yeah, it's definitely going to be at a higher price, because like he was saying, it's already for the conference. Their early bird price is up another 500. So I would definitely take advantage of it. And then yes, if you want to come and be with us in person next year, we would love to have you as well.
We'll do a deal with you if you want to.
Exactly. We'll do a deal for that. If you want to take this one now at the introductory rate with your discount and everything, and then come back in person, we'd be happy to do that.
If anyone wants to do that, I'd give you the price that you pay now off of doing it in May if you wanted to do that. So
that's a great deal. Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
If anyone wants to, no problem. So yeah, and listen, guys, send us message. I think, you know, if you don't have us on Messenger or Facebook yet, add us. If you have any questions, send us a message about it. I think till Friday anyways, that half price discount will be available for people in this group and people that have joined the masterclass. We're running another masterclass in August. if you've got the emails about the last ones, you'll certainly get them about the next one coming up in August as well.
Yes, and I can put that in the chat as well. And we started a Facebook group, so I will put that in. We, yeah, are going to have the opportunity for people to learn, connect. I had some questions with people who are coming into this next training, asking about connecting with practice partners, things like that. So we're going to have lots of great opportunities in the group. So here is the Facebook group. And then I'll go ahead really quick and put in the link to register for the next training. We are going to be doing the free masterclass that Cormac said. It's part of a series, so it's the Breaking the Cycle of Addiction. But this next one, we're going to have some different content. So if you want to come to that and learn with us, we would love to have you.
Yeah.
Can you email that as well, the links to the Facebook group and to the...
Yes, they will actually be in the replay email from this Zoom today. Absolutely, from this session.
Will that be out before Friday? Okay.
Yes, it will definitely be out before Friday. We will actually work on getting that out right away since it's time sensitive with the discounts.
If you were to leave it to me, Ron, it probably wouldn't be out by Friday, but Jodie's a lot more on top of these things. Okay, is that a wrap? Good to talk to you guys again, by the way. Thanks for coming on. It's always nice to see you guys. Aoife, if you're still there, I have your cert done. There's a whole lot of bounce back emails on people, but I'll get it out to you.
Yeah,
it's
I'm
done,
here.
so it'll get out the next day or two.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Yeah, the training was it was really, really, really useful. It's a whole new space for me, but it anyway, just the reason I'm kind of sometimes the universe smacks you in the face, and that is the kind of the direction that you end up going in. So for lots of reasons, this is the direction that I'm probably going to go in.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, any help that we can be to you along the way, Aoife, we'll be more than delighted.
Grant.
Okay. Well, thanks all, and we'll see you guys on the masterclass in August, hopefully.
Yeah, absolutely. And then hopefully in the training, and we'll have for anybody in the training, we'll likely have a pre-training call too. So we will be seeing you multiple times, and it was wonderful to be here. Thank you for joining us.
Great, thank you very much.
And Cormac, I stopped the recording on my end. If you want to do that too, you can
Yeah, okay.
on your side.